Hello, Fernando. First of all, could you please tell us how was the global reception of your last double album, Alpha Noir, Omega White, and did the reviews meet your expectations?
Well, I think all in all, Alpha Noir and Omega White were very well received by the crowd and by the critic as well. There was not a problem. I mean, we always used in Moonspell not to be a consensual band, so there was people that hated as well, but more people loved it in a way. And for Moonspell, it was quite of a great musical experience that prepared us very well as well, you know, to face a new album, a new life as songwriters right now with Extinct. So when it comes to my expectations, my own expectations, it's to make music that represents Moonspell and that can, you know, reach to the heart of our fans. And we always try this. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. You know, music is just like this. It's like a game of passion in a way. So there's not like someone even listening to Moonspell. There's some, you know, many sensibilities, different sensibilities, listening to those that listening to us that you never know. But I was quite happy with Alpha Noir. Omega White took us around the world. It was 2 very intense years of also, you know, touring and meeting people. So I was quite happy with the response, and you know, it was time, you know, to leave it and then just you know, writing a new album. Alpha Noir, Omega White brought us a lot of stuff, definitely.
Extinct is your second album released by the Austrian label Napalm Records. Are you satisfied with the work done by them so far, and do you think they're the right record label for Moonspell?
Well, I must say that I've never been so busy as I am now, and that's a sign that our label is working great as well. For me, what connects us to Napalm, first and foremost, it was always a deal based upon, you know, they were interested in Moonspell, they like our music, they follow us. So they were obviously also in between the first people that we sent the album when we were ready with it in Sweden. And you know, everything they do, every promo, every marketing is well appreciated, but only because they really like our music and they really believe on it. You know, it's just not numbers. With Napalm, it's a question of treating the band right as well. Moonspell is different from many other bands. They have newer bands, older bands, and I think they're definitely doing a great job. And it's a label that also wants to expand, just as us as a band, and I think they have grown a lot, even working just 2 albums with them, from Alpha Noir, Omega White up to Extinct. I think they definitely upgraded stuff, and they definitely took the next step. And we are quite lucky, you know, in being on a growing label that is expanding instead of being, you know, on a label that is dying. So we're quite very happy with Napalm Records, definitely.
And before going to the studio to record your new songs for Extinct, I remember that you did many concerts in most parts of the world. According to you, which country has been the most enthusiastic with Moonspell?
Well, actually, we always try to put up a show that we can have a good response everywhere, you know, and sometimes even if you say, well, the German crowds are a little bit colder, or the UK crowds, sometimes they surprise us, you know, and that's the thing that keeps it interesting to the band. I remember with the Alpha Omega tour, we did the second part of the European tour that we went towards east, you know, east of Europe, and that we were met with a lot of enthusiasm, because not only we did the East again, it's been a while since Moonspell played club shows there, so we had time to play all the songs. There were long sets, but we went through all the Russia, Siberia, places we've played, we never played before, and ended up in Beijing, in China. That was a great concert as well, so it was quite fascinating also, you know, to be visiting new countries, while you have been in so many other countries as well. But it's a little world to to discover. And also the Alpha Noir Latin America tour was great as well. People that are very warm-hearted, and they really receive us like heroes sometimes. Most bands there love to play there. And I remember a couple of gigs in the States as well, like LA with Marduk, definitely great show for us, and so forth. Fortunately, there was a lot more better memories than bad memories from the very long Alpha Noir tour.
I remember that in 2006 you played in Casablanca in Morocco, and I've heard that the crowd was absolutely crazy with you there. It was you played even in a stadium. Do you think that concert was perhaps your most memorable concert in your career?
Well, it was memorable, definitely, because, Portugal is not that far from Morocco, and people have been there all the time. But the experience of playing it, it's totally different, because it seems like you are in a totally different world, even though it's just a 2-hour trip from Portugal, from Lisbon. And the fact is that it was a big crowd, and the fact that they normally never get that much metal out there, that all helps, in order to make it a very enthusiastic night. And it was great, because we had some time to visit Morocco and Casablanca, and going through all that different culture. It was definitely one of the most memorable shows, but there have been others. I remember the first time we played in Mexico City. We had more than 3,000 people to see us, and in Europe we have played, and people are great. But for instance, in Mexico they sing along like if they are in a football stadium. It's very overwhelming still today to listen to it. And sometimes there are small shows that are memorable as well. I remember the first time we played Norway. It was in the height of the black metal, with a church burning and the killing. It was 95, with Morbid Angel and Immortal, and everybody was very keen in scaring us. All the crowd was dead silent. It was a very strange atmosphere to play. But I remember we had a brilliant performance, and we returned a couple of months after with Samael, and people were asking us for an encore, which we haven't done at the time as well, just as a kind of a payback. But memories are made on a band are made also of these smaller moments, which are obviously so important for the bands as well.
Okay, thanks. So now let's talk in details about your new album, Extinct. So first of all, I would like to simply congratulate you for that album, because in my opinion, it's a pure masterpiece of Gothic metal and music, even of masterpiece of music in general. It's one of the best release you have ever done so far, one of the best. And so my question is, when you were writing the compositions, the lyrics, what was your state of mind at that time? Did you feel some pressure, or?
No, actually, Extinct was done very freely, in a way. I remember when I approached the band with the title and also with the concept for making such an album, there was no pressure involved, other than I felt it was the time to tell a new story after Alpha Noir and Omega White, and I had a very defined idea of what I had in my mind, not musically or in detail, but I want something bigger than Moonspell. I want something to be really challenging. I wanted to do a very musical album, something that would stood out of our career, to achieve more excellence in our music. And we needed, the right songs, and we needed the right state of mind as well. But actually, doing Extinct was very pleasurable. It was something that we felt that we were evolving as musicians and as songwriters, and being able to reach a little step up. And when you have 23 years as a band, it's like an old wolf doesn't learn tricks. You know, you kind of can get in the caught in a comfort zone. You know, Moonspell is a band that has fans. We can tour, we can make a faster album. You know, we can keep our fans, but also we can challenge them. And we definitely are a band that is much more, have always been into the second part. So our state of mind was really very free at the time. We were not regarding styles, we were not regarding if this was heavy or slow or atmospheric, like you said, and I think you got it right. We just wanted to make music, and we just wanted to make a complete musical experience, blocking away all other influences, then just working towards, you know, the excellence of our music. And I think when we work so hard and so intensely on a daily basis, and when the ideas started, you know, when the dots started connecting, we realized that we had an album that was special. You know, that was musical, just the way we wanted, and that makes us very proud, because that was the intention since the beginning. You know, definitely unaware of the style that we will pursue today, to do something more melodic and more musical and more insinuating on a way, not as much as in your face as our last albums.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I totally agree with what you're saying. The thing is, I've been really surprised by all the emotion and feeling you have incorporate in your melodies, in your music. Not only you, but also all your friends at Moonspell, the guitar solos, the keyboards, also your voice. I can see that you give more freedom to your voice. Your voice is now more diversified, and that's one of the highlights of that album as well. I mean, I couldn't find any negative point in this album. For me, it's one of the best gothic metal release ever done. So yes.
That's great to know. I think you know, like I was saying, for Moonspell to be able to reach this far with our music, it's the most important thing that we have. You know, and we definitely thought really hard and worked really hard not to put something too much or something too little. I think all in all it's all a very balanced album, and I think the best thing about this album is the way the music flows. You know, it's not something impositive, it's something like a musical experience. When I listen to it myself, it's much more of a travel, you know, with its rock moments, its metal moments, its gothic moments, and also I think it's an alternative to what is done today. You know, when gothic metal started to be popular back in, you know, the 90s, we still on time to write a little history with especially Religious and Sin. And from that moment on, what I saw was gothic metal running away into a formula that had more to do with female vocals, you know, or singers, or female singers, front women, and the other guy growling, you know, and staccato guitars and orchestrations that everybody can do in the computer. And I thought that, well, we have the tradition, we have the history, we have the influences, and we can definitely also make our vision of gothic metal. And I think it's important that we do it now. And the atmosphere on the studio, the musical commitment, just allow themselves to express themselves really well. I think it's one of the albums that we could more express ourselves musically closer to our ideas. It was hard work to get there, and definitely a word has to go to Jens Bogren, the producer, because he really took something special out of Moonspell that is rarely found on any other album in terms of performance of you know, of our entire discography.
Mm-hmm. And also there's one song that is let's say special for me. That's the song La Baphomette, written in French, because as you may know, I'm French, but I have Portuguese roots, you know, and so I really like that song. It's like we are, you know, in the old France of the beginning of the beginning of the 19th century, of the 20th century, end of the 19th century. That's this kind of atmosphere I could feel. Why did you write this song in French? Does this song is a kind of tribute for the French fans? Because I know that France has always supported you since the beginning, since Adiposia Records, with the first EP. So France has always been one of your main fan base. Is it to thank them?
Well, in a matter of speech as well, you know, I think a lot of people see it as a tribute as well, because it's very rare that the band sings in French. These days, everybody's, including ourselves, we're singing in English. But it started out, you know, we were talking about the beginning of the century feeling, and when I listened to this song, I had exactly the same feeling. I listened to it. For me, this is like a cabaret song and a burlesque song. So I thought immediately, and I told the other guys, I'm going to sing it in French, and I'm going to write it in French. And the guys were like, they know I speak a little French, and that I read perfect French, and they know I love French poetry, like Verlaine, Baudelaire, you know. And obviously, when I was growing up in Portugal, France had a lot of importance, not only because of the Portuguese community over there, but, you know, everybody liked French cinema, French poetry, French music, and that kind of got away from us with all the American influence that everybody has these days. And with everything happening in France, you know, the Charlie Hebdo thing, and with this song coming as well, people were really happy that there was a French song that is almost not like a metal song, but a song that we can get together anywhere in France and sing it, you know, even though it's a dark song with a dark subject. I really like this song, you know. It's a song completely different from everything we have done. I like some French speaking music as well. There was this Swiss band called Young Gods. They have an album called Le Rouge, which is a great album. Also something I listen outside metal, and we just picked up all these pieces and made this very special song. Someone has described it as a perfect end for the album, because it's like the end of a show in a way. It's just like the goodbye song. Like everything is going to chaos right now. Everybody's going either to be dead or to sleep forever. You know, kind of like this. So it's a nice surprise, and it's definitely also a tribute to our fans. And I'm looking forward to you know, sing it in France, because I think there will be a quite interesting sing-along, and people are very happy, you know, because of this song La Baphomette, you know. And I have to practice my accent and my French so I can do it, you know,
the best way. Yeah, great. So so and by the way, I think you did really well. Even of course, if we feel your Portuguese accent, you did really well in that song. It sounds very well.
Yeah. It sounds like you know, crazy guys doing French, but I didn't try to have any French accent, you know, because I don't know all the accents, so I just did it the Portuguese way. And I think it sounds interesting even for the French-speaking people, you know.
Yeah, and regarding the lyrics, what are they about?
Sorry, say again.
Concerning the lyrics, what are the themes? Well, you know,
I think that La Baphomette is like a nom de plume, you know, like a stage name for an exotic dancer, but. She's like, when she dances, she creates chaos. And the way she connects to Extinct is like, she's also one of a kind, you know, a species that is it's going to end after that dance. So it's a tale, inspired also by the power of women dancing in a way of their sensuality. It's also subjects that don't show up a lot in metal because people are afraid of being sexist or whatever. But for me, it's very natural that I write about women. So it was for Peter Steele, so it was for Andrew Aldrich from Sisters of Mercy or Peter Murphy, and I think that's the subject of the song. Really, the power that women have on us, and when some dance, some create chaos, and I know that for a fact.
And the songs of Extinct, do they have different lyrical meaning, or the lyrical theme is the same for all the songs? Well,
of course there are differences from every song. I like to think about them as individual chapters of a book. In a way, that's the way I write the lyrics. They make sense with each other, but they are different at the same time as the album progresses. But I think the lyrical concept in general just bounces between a personal story and a more universal story. The universal story, it's the biotic extinction, the extinction of animals, of species, especially one caused by the human factor. Why it happens, what can we do to prevent that, what do people that try to save like endangered species of wolves or flowers feel when they are gone forever from the earth. It's a kind of a personal loss and a personal pain. And I've lived other times. I'm 40 right now, and much of my references are either dead people, or places that are not there anymore. So a lot of my existence got extinct. In a way, a lot of the things I looked up to, a lot of the singers I looked up to, especially Peter Steele from Type O Negative, there's no such presence of them and of all these things in my life and in people's life right now. But I understand also that on the middle of this, there's also a struggle for survival, and it's an album that tells a lot of survival stories and tells a lot of and asks a lot of survivor questions in a way, because extinction can be the permanent darkness, but we are still here fighting against it. And I think that the album really crosses this story about people that help or that fight to save species from Mother Earth, or also people that fight for themselves, not to disappear completely.
Mm-hmm. And now a question regarding Portugal in general, and also the metal scene there. So, as you know, Portugal is suffering a lot due to the economical and financial crisis, and in the last years I noticed that lots of Portuguese metal bands, are splitting up. The venues are closing down, so less gigs, less bands. Are you very pessimistic regarding the Lusitanian metal scene?
Well, actually, in times of crisis, I think it's when best music can show up, and the best ideas as well. And the Portuguese scene had always had the problem, even on the days that people bought records, to come across Portugal, Moonspell, Avonwood, and some other smaller examples were the only Portuguese bands that and that happens also in Spain, and it happens a little bit in Greece, and it happened in France. Right now, at least you have Gothic and Dagobah, that are bands that everybody knows, and that are the jewels of the French metal these days, because there was a glorious past with Massacre and Loud Blast. There was also a good wave of French death metal, especially. So sometimes it's complicated to understand. The crisis took a toll on everyone, even Moonspell or bigger bands here. We had to adapt, but I think we always lived on a kind of a crisis. Being a musician is not easy for everyone, and it all has to do with expectations. We live from music since '96, since Irreligious, not because we made a lot of money, but because we kept a modest life and understood that Moonspell was a project for life and not to make money in 2 or 3 years. And sometimes Portuguese bands, they are too eager, I wouldn't say for success, but for things to happen. And it takes a long time, Still today, I wait for things to happen. It's 23 years on a band. So I think the problem sometimes it's more there, and I think the Portuguese bands should be more craftier also in looking for solutions to their problems. Other than that, I think even many bands have split up, but many bands are doing also great work, and there's now shows in Portugal. We get all the bands here. Amon Amarth was just here last week. Epica was here a month ago, so it's different for the better. But yeah, we still have a long way to go, and the crisis is not helping. But I think sometimes it's easy to talk because you're in Moonspell, but the fact, and I'm completely convinced that I will do music anyway, just that now that Moonspell has worked, I have different problems than what people have when they begin, but I had those problems as well, and we could overcome in a way. So I think if it was possible for us, it's possible for all the Portuguese bands. You just have to put really your mind and soul into it.
And a question also regarding that subject. Approximately how many records have you sold throughout your whole career? And also, do you think that illegal downloading had a big impact on your sales, or is it something you don't really pay attention to?
Well, I have to pay attention to everything because also, I love music. I love what I do. I feel I'm privileged for doing this, but I'm a professional as well, so I have to keep up with the tendencies. I think on a rough calculation, I think Moonspell, throughout all the years, counting all albums, I think we have sold like 500,600,000 records, counting all the records since Under the Moonspell up to Omega White. And obviously there are records that are best-selling for us, like Irreligious, Wolf Art, Sin, Pecado. Those were records that definitely did more than 100,000 each, and they're still selling. Our back catalog is something really active. But on the midst of everything, and with the internet downloads and everything, of course, it took a toll into the bands. But there were other things that weren't right before that turned out to be right. So I always try to see things as very balanced, and also help to educate people that it's important for a band that you still buy records, because there's many bands saying, "Oh, don't buy a record because the money goes for our label," and that's not the truth in a way. I remember last album with charted in Finland because we sold records in Finland with Alpha Noir, and immediately we got Tuska interested, Live Nation interested. So one thing leads to the other, and there's a lot of disinformation thrown at the crowd. I feel the band still survives from everything, not only merch sales or or live revenue. I think selling records is still very important, and I'm very glad that especially when it comes to the special edition and the vinyl editions, our fans do not want the download. They really want the object, because they understand the Moonspell album. It's also the covers, it's also the lyrics, it's everything we put on the album, the commentary, everything. And I think they really respond very positively into it. So Moonspell keeps a great sales average that, of course, every band wants to expand and be bigger, not because they are greedy, but I want to play with, better lights, and I want to have effects, and we want to put everything in our show as well, and one thing leads to the other. But like I say, it's very, very important that people keep on buying records. They have a lot to choose from. We didn't have anything to choose. We went and spent the same money on the record because the records are the same price as they used to be nowadays, and we just got the jewel case, and the CD.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays people get everything else,
Yeah, and by the way, which album was the most successful in terms of sales?
Well, I think it's a tough call between 3 albums. I think Irreligious was the most so successul album at the time. It sold really quick, and the band really progressed a lot in our career. But Sin was released in a time that was still, people. It was the last years that people still bought a lot of records, so that sold a lot as well. But as Wolfart is always selling, and it's an album that new generations have picked up very heavily. I think maybe Wolfart will, in a space of 10 years, let's say, will be our best-selling album ever. But I think right now, as we speak, it's Irreligious.
Okay. I think it is due, concerning Wolfart, it is due to the fact that folk black metal is becoming more popular now.
Well, I mean, I've seen, folk bands and folk black metal bands doing stuff and taking a dive. It's a very irregular scene, sometimes it's really big, sometimes they don't pull enough people. Yeah, but Wolfart was an album that turned out to be very classic for people, very legendary. In a way, I think we never could see it coming. I know it was a very different album, it had very different aspects, and ended up to influence a lot of different bands, Gothic bands, folk bands, black metal bands, and I think that's quite a big curiosity is even about that album. Even younger kids, they know Alma Mater and Vampiria. It's an album that have endured the test of time. Some of them do, some of them don't. It's like the same for everyone. It's like for people as well. But this album definitely had a certain charm, and it's 20 years this year as well. so it's it was recorded in January, and I think released in April '95. So there's already 20 years, between Wolfart and this new album. It's amazing. Yeah,
and I've also been informed that you're a proud supporter of the great Portuguese football club FC Porto. I'm also a supporter of FC Porto, and so my question is: have you ever thought in writing a song as a tribute to your club, a song, a kind of fun song that you would include in a next album as a bonus track?
Well, the other guys will kill me because Iris is a big fanatic for Sporting, so is Ricardo. And Pedro is from Benfica, so always leave a little bit football out of the Moonspell thing. But one thing I did a couple of years ago, Porto invited me to sing on their gala. They have something called
Dragões de Ouro.
Dragões de Ouro, yeah. And I went there. Of course I went because it was FC Porto, so I got to sing the Porto anthem when they went to raise the flag, because it was the 120th anniversary of Porto. And then at night they wanted a rock and roll singer, so I sung with the big band. I sung Beatles and Rolling Stones, and it was a big party, and I was just there, with all the players, with the president, Pinto da Costa, having fun, and it was a great experience for me. So I already did something with Porto, not like a tribute song, but I went to sing their beautiful anthem as well.
And also, I have to say, it's just for your information, my favorite release ever, my favorite record CD ever is Under the Moonspell, of course, released by Adiposia Records, because this is a unique release, and I know as well Christian Bivel, and the thing is, the fact that I love. The thing is, the main reason why I love Extinct was that I could find also lots of Middle Eastern influences. And the thing is, how many people have you invited to incorporate this Middle Eastern touch in your album?
Well, yeah, that's right, because, you know, some people don't know about our past, but we've always been very influenced from the Middle East music. It influences also Portuguese culture and music and folklore, in a way. And we were expecting an opportunity to expand on this, and what we wrote for Extinct was already, some of it was already had this flavor as well. So this time around we went a little bit further. We didn't want to do it ourselves. We wanted professional musicians from that area. So we hired a Turkish orchestra, 7 violins, 3 violas and 1 cello, and a maestro called Mumin Sessler, and they played on our album, and the result is much more and incredible. For us. We also had Yossi Assi, ex-Orphaned Land, to play on a song called Medusalam, which is a very oriental-driven song. And we had also a friend of ours called Mahafson. She's from Iran originally. She lives in Canada, to say the Farsi speech. So there was definitely this Middle East connection going on with our album, because, you know, even though there's all these sad events with terrorism, people cannot, you know, just mess everything up, because the Arabic culture has beautiful stuff like music, and the common people probably are much more into this stuff than into making war in the name of Allah, or, you know, answering back in the name of God or culture or whatever. So it's really good and also appropriate for the time, you know, that we have this show, not the horror from those parts, but also the beauty that of their music that goes so well with our songs as well. I think it's one of the highlights of the album. It's this Middle East fascinating influence that now we could play with real musicians, you know.
Yes, there's a kind of the 1,000 nights atmosphere, you know. That's what I love in the Arabic culture, especially.
Yes. Yeah, it's definitely 1,000 nights. Sometimes I use that word to describe it as well.
yeah, and also just to finish our interview, concerning the logo, I like your current logo currently, but of course my favorite logo is the one designed by the very famous Christoph Spachdel, you know, your black metal logo. Is your current logo will be your definitive Moonspell logo for the future?
Actually, we don't really have a definitive logo. We had the Christopher logo that we still use in a lot of merchandise and a lot of stuff, because it's our, you know, first logo, our best logo probably. But as our aesthetics changed a little bit for the covers as well, we had to come up with a more compromising logo, definitely. And right now, the logo we have now, it's kind of more elegant in a way, and I kind of like it. It fits our music. But you know, in a way, I agree with you. It's you know, the old logos had this kind of, same for all the other bands that have changed the logo, had this kind of personality that probably is lost also in the time. But we still use many times our old logo, and people still love it, and people still, whenever they see a thing with it, they go and they want to have it.
Yes, and for example, I have around 15 T-shirts of showing your old logo. That's Yeah.
That's a lot. You have more than me.
Yeah, I really love that logo, and yeah, you use it for all your black metal releases. And also, when you look at the past, do you, for example, still have some contacts with all the former musicians who have contributed to Moonspell, like Sergio Crestagna or Ares, or also the many others?
Well, some of them, yeah. I mean, Dan Grisner that played in Under the Moonspell Tan, that has this new great band called Iron Sword here from Portugal. It's my brother-in-law. He's married with my sister.
Okay.
And he played in Under the Moonspell, and he played in Wolfart as well. But, you know, being a band from Portugal hasn't always been easy. So sometimes we got into trouble with each other, and we were not ready for the growth of the band. And some people didn't really react it well. Those were the people who are not in the band anymore. So I would love to keep touch. I would love to keep in touch with them. When we released Lusitanian Metal a couple of years ago, I even picked up all the members, but Sergio refused to be there. It's his own prerogative, of course. But I was like, all right. He was like a session musician in a way. He was not like a full band member, and that I understood it there as well. Ares was there, Mantos was there, you know, everybody was there. But then as the things were involved, and that with Ares putting us a very heavy lawsuit on that almost destroyed our career back in after Wolfart, after he released it, after he left the band. I can say, you know, I'm not in good terms with Ares. I think we'll never speak again, to be honest, with you. Not because I haven't tried him to make the right thing. I tried. I think I was very patient, but you know, it was too much betrayal as well for you to take, especially when, you know, you followed your own path and Moonspell become you know, even a bigger band without him. So I have some connections with some people, and also with some people from the scene, but you know, there was a lot of bad blood between in the time between the ex-Moonspell members and us, and some people really manned up and got over it, and some people unfortunately didn't, and that's why we don't keep in touch with them.
Yes, and so Moonspell was formed in 1999 under the name Morbid God. At that time, when you formed your band, would you think that Moonspell would be what it is today?
Absolutely not. I have to say, you know, I think when we start picking up as a band, and even when we did Wolfart, and when I listened to it for the first time, and even under the Moonspell, which were different and special, I realized that we could be a band that could be many years together doing music, you know, and make an interesting, different approach to all the roots we had from black metal, Gothic music, traditional music, etc. And but I never thought, you know, that we could gone as far, and I never thought about it until '98. I would say when Ares left the band, we stopped for a little while, and then decided to go on, you know. And from that moment on, it was you know, our faith to be together as Moonspell for many years, because we had survived our most violent storm as a band. And when you are involved in a band, of course, you know, you start also to work hard and to fight hard for your dreams, and the band becomes your life. You know, I'm 40. Moonspell, it's 23 years old, and if we go as far as Morbid God, you know, there's a lot. It's a long time spent on a scene that has changed so much since the underground and the Adipoceret days up to the Napalm Record days, and also, you know, online stuff and interviews and magazines. So I think we survived it elegantly, you know, and I think that's very important for Moonspell. But I couldn't see us coming so far. But since we are here, we understand the rules, and we really fight hard, you know, to keep our head above the waters.
And you were talking about your early years. So from my side, I have, of course, the vinyl Anno Satin A, you know, that compilation you have recently released on vinyl, containing all your first works. And I have also the vinyl version and the first press, the first CD version of Under the Moonspell. The thing is, I have compared these early works with your re-recording called Under Satin A, and the thing is, I still prefer your early works due to the raw sound, and it had another feeling. Do you agree with my opinion, or do you think that your re-recording of Under Satin A is better than the first works?
I don't think it's better. I think it's different, and I think I have to agree because you know, I understand that, because the charm of those years, you know, is something you cannot beat. Also the naive feeling of going for the first time in the studio and trying to do such an orchestral work, such a complete work with all the mistakes, it created a different charm. So it's a different experience, definitely, to listen to Under the Moonspell and under Satin A, and we really didn't want to compare them in a way. What we wanted as musicians was to make the ideas work in a way, because the one thing that we felt about Under the Moonspell is that we didn't have enough talent as musicians to perform our ideas. So Under Satin A was kind of us getting back at that album that left us a little bit frustrated. We couldn't capture the charm, definitely, but we could play the ideas as we probably would have wanted back then. But I believe it's going to be the only re-recordings we are going to do. I think definitely some things are better preserved on their natural form, even if they're primitive, because it's also, you know, the zeitgeist is also the spirit of times, and throughout the years I learned to understand that nuance, definitely. Oliver, we have to finish.
Okay, no problem.
Time just for one more, sorry.
You have said I've got a last question.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
You got a last question.
The last question is regarding Under the Moonspell. I, of course, really love also the introduction with the voice of Abdul Siuta. In fact, who is this person, and why did he not contribute in the next works of Moonspell?
Well, actually, I don't even know if ever Abdul Sweetie knows that he sang on a Moonspell record, because we went to the mosque here in Lisbon, and we got together with Sheikh Munir, who is the leader of the Muslim community here, back in '94. And 93, I think, that we recorded. And Abdul Sweetie was like the ancient on the Muslim. He was like not a mullah, but he was the guy that sang the prayers, or the older guy. And we didn't dare to say that we were mixing black metal with Muslim stuff at the time. So they just did it and say, well, if you guys want to use it, maybe we use it for a theater play. So those are the persons, you know, that were involved in it, and they're really Muslims, and they really were there in the mosque, and we were there, just a couple of metal guys with the 8-track recorder, just to capture that. And I think it's a brilliant intro. And if we might do stuff in the future with Arabian vocalists or singers, but this time around everything will be out in the open, definitely.
Yes, and so Fernando, muito obrigado. Thanks a lot for everything. I wish you all the best for you, your family, your wife, your son, and also all your friends at Moonspell for all your albums, so all your music. So, in one word, thank you very much for everything, for all the happiness that your music gave to me. Thanks a lot for your time, for me, and also for Metal Rules. And so also see you in London on the 2nd of April. I will be there at the Underworld, and I will also be VIP. So I will meet you in person. So that will be great. And I remember that I also met you. It was 2 years ago when the last time you played at the Underworld. I was there as well, and I remember that we take photos together, and you signed me an autograph. I even remember that. So it will be the second time I will meet you. And so do you have anything special to add for this interview to conclude?
Well, I just want to thank you for the interview. I hope that I'll meet you and many other people in the underworld. It's going to be a great show. And I would like to ask people just to give a chance to Extinct. We put a lot of ourselves, a lot of work into a lot of personal emotions into this record. And it might be the record you're looking for. You never know. So check it out.
yeah, perfect. So of course I will buy it for sure. That's perfect. So muito obrigado, tudo melhor, e thanks for me and for Metal Rules, and so have a nice evening, and so see you in London 2nd of April.
All right.
Under the spell.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.